Welcome to MCAT Biochemistry. This chapter is going to be based on aamc 5th edition, and this is brought to you by Angel Loves Human Medicine. So biochemistry is a very important part of MCAT. I have already given my MCAT the first time. Most of the questions were based on biochemistry. So let us find out first what is biochemistry. So biochemistry or biological chemistry is the study of chemical processes within and related to living organisms. That includes everybody that's alive, basically. So biochemistry is incredibly important. Biochemistry is also divided into structural biology, enzymology, and metabolism. We will be learning about enzymes and metabolism and also biology in this class. So biology is going to be a different section, but in biochemistry we will study enzymes and metabolism. Biochemistry also understands tissues and organs as well as organism structure and function. So an organism structure defines its function. That is a very important part of human medicine, right? So biochemistry plays a very integral role in organism structure and its function. Biochemistry deals mostly with the structures, function, interactions of biological macromolecules. Now, protein is a macromolecule, nucleic acid is a macromolecule, carbohydrates, lipids are all macromolecules, and they're very important. So we will be studying about amino acids in this chapter. The findings of biochemistry are applied primarily in medicine, nutrition, and agriculture. Very important. Medicine, it is very important because um, as a medicine professional, you will have to diagnose what is wrong with the patient, and chances are the bottom line is going to be somewhere in biochemistry, and you will have to understand what is causing illnesses, right? So it's important to learn biochemistry to come to a diagnosis for a patient. In medicine, biochemists investigate the causes and cures of diseases. Very important. If you want to find a cure, you have to find a cause. And if you are smart enough, if you have foundational knowledge, then chances are you will be able to come to a conclusion. And you need biochemistry for it. So biochemistry is very important for all the medicine professionals. What are amino acids? Amino acids are organic compounds that contain both amino and carboxylic acid functional groups. Very important. Amino groups are very important. There are 500 amino acids exist in nature, right? But for MCAT, we will be only studying 22 alpha amino acids, and we'll talk about what alpha is in the future slides. Now, there are only 22 appear in genetic code of life, and that's why we'll be only studying 22. All right, so amino acid structure has a hydrogen, it has a remainder R group, which is variant. It also has an amino group, and it also has a carboxyl group, right? So if you want to understand the structure of amino acid, all you have to do is understand the variant R group, and it will be beneficial, to remember each one of them. Alright, so amino acids are classified according to the location of the core structural functional groups, that is alpha, beta, and gamma. There are other categories that you will have to memorize. You'll have to memorize if it's a polar, non-polar. You have to memorize, ionization charge or uncharged. You will also have to remember the side chain group type, which is aliphatic, acyclic, aromatic, and polar, right? So amino acid classification is very important, and you will also have to remember the structure, full structure, and how to draw it as well. So the more you draw it, the better. When I studied my MCAT, what I actually did was I drew them at least 50 times to remember and memorize it. And I also understood the reason behind it. What happens when you have a carboxyl group, what happens you have, which remainder R groups attached to it, which amino groups attached to it. That was a very important part of my study. All right. In the form of proteins, amino acids, residues from the second largest component, water being the largest, of human muscles and other tissues. And this is exactly why it is very important to study amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins, right? So if you understand which amino acid is missing, or it is less activated, then you can actually help the patient. And we will learn about how to diagnose, because this course is going to be heavily clinically based. We will talk about which amino acid is responsible for what and how can it help cure diseases. Okay, so we'll study about it. Amino acids participate in several processes such as neurotransmission. Neurotransmitter transfer and biosynthesis is extremely important because you will be asked about it in MCAT. Neurotransmitters are your body's chemical messengers. They carry messages from one nerve cell across a space to the next nerve, muscle, or gland cell. These messages help you move your limbs, feel sensation, keep your heart beating, and take in and respond to all information your body receives from other internal parts of your body and your environment. So, neurotransmission is very important. If there is a lack of neurotransmitter, chances are, one cell cannot communicate with other cell, right? And slowly and gradually we may have necrosis, which means cellular death may happen. It can be an unprogrammed death, can be a programmed death, either or. But if lack of cellular transmission, a neurotransmission is considered as close to, having living organisms dead. So amino acids are very important. That includes, let's say, keep your heart beating. If your heart stops, chances are you'll die, right? So that's very important. We will learn about hypoxia, and we will be learning about different types of illnesses that may cause, the stopping of heart or heart stroke. Okay, so we'll learn about it. What is the history of amino acid? All right, the first few amino acids were discovered in early 1800s. 1806, French chemist Louis Nicolas Vauquelin and Pierre-Jean Robichaud isolated a compound from asparagus, right? That was subsequently named asparagine, right? The first amino acid to be discovered was from a vegetable, right? So, so you can, every time you read about asparagine, what you can do is you can study asparagus, right? And you can remember the picture of asparagus in your face. So what happens is you study asparagine and your study becomes very interesting, so you'll remember like that. So that was when the first amino acid was discovered. Cysteine, very important, was discovered in 1810, although it's a monomer. Cysteine remained undiscovered until 1884. Glycine and leucine were discovered in 1820. The last of the 20 common amino acids to be discovered was threonine in 1935 by William Cumming Rose, who also determined the essential amino acid and established the minimum daily requirements of all amino acids for optimal growth. So it is very important. We are still following the same chart, how much a particular amino acid that we need for a growth, right? So this is very important. The last 20, very important. They're all going to be asked in AMCAT. The first use of the term amino acid in the English language dates from 1898, while the German term aminoacido was used earlier. So they had a name for amino acid, but they had to shorten it for everybody to use it in English language. Proteins were found to yield amino acids after enzymatic digestion or acid hydrolysis. Yes, so they also realized that due to amino acids, proteins were also found. In 1902, Emil Fischer and Franz Hofmeister independently proposed that proteins are formed from many amino acids, whereby bonds are formed between amino group of one amino acid with a carboxyl group of another, resulting in a linear structure that Fischer termed peptide. Very important. Peptides are small chains of amino acid that form the basis of proteins such as collagen, elastin in the skin and other tissues. So collagen is very important, that keeps your skin stretchy, right? And this is exactly why a lot many people nowadays eat collagen powders. You also make collagen milk, I guess, right? So that is very important. I eat 5 oranges to increase collagen, right? So it keeps your skin very active, it keeps your skin very youthful and young. All right, so what is proteogenic? Proteogenic amino acids are incorporated biosynthetically into proteins during translation, right? So DNA makes RNA, makes protein. So whenever translation happens, proteins are actually are being built. So proteogenic is protein building. 22 are proteogenic, protein building combined to give a vast area of peptides and proteins assembled by ribosomes. recognized by ribozyme auto amino acylation systems. All right, so whenever you see amino acylation, synthesis of amino, somewhere I believe that proteogenic, that are protein building amino acids are recognized by ribozyme, right? What are non-proteogenic? Non-proteogenic amino acids are amino acids that are either not incorporated proteins like GABA or L-DOPA, misincorporated in the place of genetically encoded amino acid, or not produced directly and in isolation by standard cellular machinery like hydroxyproline, often results from post-translation modification of proteins. So somewhere I feel non-protogenic amino acids are amino acids that are either not incorporated in proteins, GABA, L-DOPA. So everything that is not incorporated in a protein, not incorporated into protein, can be considered as non-proteogenic. It means they are not building protein. Basically, that's what it means. It can also be proteins that are mis or incorporated in place of genetically encoded amino acid. There are some non-proteogenic amino acids that are incorporated into non-ribosomal peptides, which are synthesized by non-ribosomal peptide synthetases. All right. So basically, non-proteogenic is are proteins that are non-protein building, right? GABA and L-DOPA are non-protein building. However, GABA and L-DOPA are also very important. We will talk about branch chain amino acids too, but GABA is going to be something that you will be asked. Um, so you will have to remember it. General structure of amino acid. The carbon atom next to carboxyl group is called the alpha carbon. So if you see the carbon atom next to the carboxyl group, this is the carbon atom, is called as the alpha carbon atom. um, Alpha chirality is something that MCAT pushes a lot of weightage on, so try to remember what an alpha carbon is. That will help you. In proteinogenic amino acid, it bears a amine and R group or the side chain specific to each amino acid with four distinct substituents. Alpha carbon is stereogenic in all alpha amino acid except glycine. So glycine is an exceptional case. All chiral proteogenic amino acids have the al configuration. They are left-handed enantiomers, which refers to the stereoisomers of alpha carbon. The absolute configuration of amino acids can be shown with the H pointed to the rear, right? So this is a remainder group, and H is pointed to the remainder group. The COH groups pointed out to the left, right? So as you can see, COH group is pointed out to the left, although you can see it on the right, but it's actually on the left. The R group to the right and the NH3 group upwards. This is the NH3 group and it is pointed upwards. You can remember this with the anagram corn. So if you remember this word corn, chances are you will remember the whole amino acid structure. All right, most of the amino acid structures are based on this particular structure. So if you remember this, I think you will do good. All right. Now there are amino acids that are essential and there are amino acids that are non-essential, right? So amino acids that are essential cannot be created by the body and have to be consumed. These are the list of all the essential amino acid: tryptophan, threonine, phenylalanine, histidine, methionine, lysine, leucine, isoleucine, valine, right? So these, the last four are branch change amino acids, BCAA. They are actually 25% of essential AAs in muscles, right? Very important branch chain. Non-essential are they can be created by the body from essential amino acids. So if you have essential amino acids, the non-essential can be created from the essential. So they are very dependent on essential amino acids. So tyrosine, serine, proline, glycine, glutamic acid, cysteine, alanine, ornithine, aspartic acid, asparagine, arginine. All right, so these can be created from essential. Or we are not going to study ornithine a lot, not for this class, maybe in the future classes. So if you eat all these products, chicken, whey, beef, tofu, Greek yogurt, quinoa, fish, depending on your eating habits, you will obtain essential amino acids. Amino acids are extremely important for those that are muscle builders and or athletes. Amino acids play a big role in their life. So if you want to build muscles, you can consume the amino acids that are needed for muscle building. We'll talk about amino acids that are needed for muscle building in this class. Classification of amino acids. Charged amino acid side chains often form salt bridges in red mnemonic rules to remember the one letter code. Positively charged are arginine, R, lysine, LYSK. Negatively charged are aspartic acid, ASPD. You can remember aspartic acid. Hard T sound like D. Glutamic acid, glue, right? E. Glue, etamic acid feels like it is almost an E there, right? So you can remember glutamic acid. So positively charged are arginine, lysine. Negatively charged are aspartic and glutamic acid. Polar amino acids from hydrogen bond as proton donors or acceptors. All right, so they can donate or they can accept. Glutamine, asparagine, histidine, serine, threonine, tyrosine, cysteine, they are all polar amino acids. Amphipathic amino acids often found at the surface of the proteins or lipid membranes, sometimes also classified as polar. Tryptophan, tyrosine, methionine, they are all amphipathic amino acids. Tryptophan, largest side chain and the largest letter, TRPW. And methionine, very important, may function as a ligand to metal ions. Very important. Methionine is very important because it is a start codon. So always remember methionine. Hydrophobic amino acids normally buried inside the protein core: alanine, isoleucine, leucine, methionine, phenyl, alanine, valine, proline, glycine. They are all hydrophobic, water fearing. It's exactly why they are buried inside the protein, not outside, because they are not hydrophilic. They cannot. Um, Hydrophilic are usually water loving. They cannot mix with the other ions because they are not hydrophilic. Zwitterion. Zwitterion is a molecule that contains both positive and negatively charged functional groups, and net charge of the entire molecule is zero. Alright, zwitterions are very important because they are molecules that contains both positive and negative charge functional groups. You will be asked to calculate zwitterion, and we will give you equations for zwitterion in the next slides. um, they usually ask the pKa of zwitterions. All right, so you have to remember that. Amino acids are the best known examples of zwitterions. They contain an amine group and carboxyl acidic group. They can be formed from compounds like ampholites, which contain both acid and base groups in their molecules. In this type of ion, the charged atoms are usually held together by one or more covalent bonds. So zwitterions are held together by covalent bonds. Very important to remember. They contain amine group and carboxyl group. That is also very important to remember. Um, and amino acids are the best example of zwitterions. Zwitterionic compounds have stable separate unit electrical charges on atoms. These compounds contain quaternary ammonium cations. So that is also something that you should remember. Compounds contain quaternary ammonium cations. The isoelectric points, so Pi pKa1 plus pKa2 divided by 2. Another main property of zwitterion is that it has an isoelectric point, represented as Pi. The point is the pH value at which the charge in molecule is neutral. So remember, Pi is equal to charge in molecule is neutral, right? Not acidic, not basic. Uh, Usually, the net charge on a molecule is greatly affected by the pH of its surrounding environment. In this case, molecules can become more charged, positive or negative, because of gain or loss in number of protons. Right, like we said, zwitterions are either acceptors or donors of protons. Right, so depending on what happens, it can either be positive or negative. If we look at amino acid, the amino group is very effective proton acceptor, and the carboxyl group is an effective proton donor. Very important to remember this because you will be asked in different contexts, and you will have to come up to a solution. They usually don't ask direct questions, but they will have a passage where you will have to understand and respond to it. Solubility of molecule at a given pH is also affected by the Pi value, right? So how soluble it is. It is also very important. At given pH is affected by pi. The value where the charge in molecule is neutral, right? That's exactly why we study chemistry in lab, so we realize where does the color change. Is it becoming acidic, is it becoming basic, or is it staying neutral, right? So it's very important to understand the pH. It's very important to understand the isoelectric point. How do you calculate pH value? The pH value at the isoelectric point can be calculated from the equilibrium constant acid and base of the zwitterion, right? So Pi is equal to pKa1 pKa2 by 2. Pi is isoelectric point, the equilibrium constant of acid, equilibrium constant of base divided by 2. You will be asked about it. All you have to do is, make sure you're very good with calculation and come up with a Pi, because at some point in your exam you will be asked about zwitterion, and somewhere they do ask passage questions about pi. How do you calculate it? What is it? Which is more acidic, which is more basic, which one's least acidic as per your calculation. They usually ask tricky questions: which one's least acidic, or which one would pass a certain lab test. So they do ask that question. Let's talk about each amino acid. We will go in detail. It all depends on how much you remember the structure, but we will be going in details. Alanine, the symbol of alanine is ALA or A. Alanine is alpha. Alanine is an alpha amino acid that is used in the biosynthesis of proteins. Very important. It contains, so it's proteinogenic, that's what they are saying. It contains an amine group, a carboxyl group with both attached to the central carbon atom, which also carries a methyl group side chain, right? So we see CH3, which is a methyl group side chain. Under biological condition, it exists in zwitterionic form with its amine group protonated and carboxyl group deprotonated, right? So amine group is protonated and carboxyl is deprotonated. Donated is proton, that's what they're saying. And like we said earlier, carboxyl group is responsible creating bonds between different amino acids, so that's why it deprotonated, right? So it is non-essential to humans as it can be synthesized metabolically and does not need to be present in the diet, right? Because like we discussed, non-essential can be synthesized from essential amino acids. It is encoded by all codons starting with GC. Remember ALA GC, ALA GC. Remember that, ALA GC. Right. So non-polar, hydrophobic, aliphatic, and non-essential alpha amino acid. Remember that. So ALA JC, if you remember anything that starts with JC, all right. So these are the codons, and you will be asked questions on codons, and you will have to find the right answer. So that will happen. So remember the CH3NH2, the methyl group on the side, and you will be able to remember the structure of L-alanine. What is the clinical significance of alanine? Why is it important? Why is it even a part of 20 amino acid? Why do we have to remember 22? Why is it part of it? Found in high levels in free state in human plasma, very important. It is found in free state, increases immunity, and this is exactly why it's in plasma. Provides energy for brain and CNS, central nervous system, incredibly important, right? Alanine plays a central role in glucose alanine cycle taking place between tissues and liver. Very, very important. Helps protect cells from being damaged during intense physical activity. Right, and this is exactly why some amino acids are very important for all the athletes. Supports muscle maintenance and metabolic health, which is especially important as they age. Right, so if we see some sort of muscular dystrophy, we see any kind of issues with regards to muscles and its movement, most of the times doctors will run a test and see what is missing, and they will prescribe medications for a certain type of amino acid, right? And amino acids are also available OTC. Like I said, we can actually buy amino acid powders. You can get it at Walmart, you can get it at CVS, Walgreens, and you can consume it, right? Glycine, GLY, NH2, CH2, COOH, nonpolar, non-essential, neutral, aliphatic alpha amino acid. So glycine. Amino acid that has a single hydrogen atom at its side chain. Alright, so you have to remember the gly has just one H, single hydrogen atom. Simplest stable amino acid, it's stable, it doesn't bother anybody. Glycine is one of the proteinogenic amino acids, protein building. Glycine is integral to the formation of alpha helices in secondary protein structure due to the flexibility caused by such a small R group, right? So, because it has a small R group, it is more flexible, and this is exactly why it's an integral part of alpha helices. It is only achiral proteinogenic amino acid. So, um, glycine is a exceptional case. You will be asked about glycine at some point in your MCAT, right? So remember that. It is the only achiral proteinogenic amino acid. It can fit into hydrophilic or hydrophobic environments due to its minimal side chain of only one hydrogen atom. It is encoded by all codons starting with GG. All right, so anything that you see GG, GG, or just remember GGG. All right, so glycine start codons are GGG. Okay, so you can remember that. And glycine is exceptional case. It is the simplest state of amino acid. It's proteinogenic, it's flexible, integral part formation of alpha helices. Remember that. It is achiral, also remember that, and it is hydrophilic or hydrophobic. All right, so because of it has minimum side change of only one hydrogen atom. So it is either hydrophilic or hydrophobic. It can be both as well. All right, so remember that. clinical signification Clinical significance of glycine needed for a healthy digestive system because it helps regulate the synthesis of bile acid utilized to help your digest fats. All right, so it is very important in digesting fats. It is also very important synthesis of bile acids. So let's say if somebody is suffering from any kind of digestive issue, first of all the doctor would check what is the percentage of glycine in the person's body, and that's how they will diagnose it. Glycine also plays a role as an inhibitory neurotransmitter in your central nervous system, particularly in the spinal cord, in the brainstem, and in the retina. It is a neurotransmitter responsible for cellular mechanism, transport of information, right? So it's very important, and that's why it plays a role in spinal cord and brainstem and in the retina. All right, so it is a very important glycine. All the transmitting amino acids are very important for our bodily functions, required for development and quality of human skeletal muscles, tissues, structure integrity, as well as synthesis of nucleic acids. Helps create muscle tissues, convert glucose into energy, vital for maintaining a healthy central nervous system and digestive system. It also protects against some types of cancer through its antioxidant properties, right? So, as glycine is extremely important, although it is a very stable, it's very simple amino acid. It does have a very important function in our body, so remember that. What is isoleucine? So isoleucine, the molecular formula C6H13NO2, non-polar aliphatic and essential branch alpha amino acid used in the biosynthesis proteins, production of new proteins to balance the loss of cellular proteins through degradation or export. All right, so it is very, very important. It contains alpha amino group, which is protonated under biological condition, alpha carboxyl acid group, which is deprotonated, and a hydrocarbon side chain with a branch, a central carbon atom bound to three other carbon atoms. So you have to remember that bound to three carbon atoms. It is classified as non-polar. It is non-polar, uncharged at physiological pH, branch chain, aliphatic amino acid. Okay, so remember this, very important. Isoleucine is very important because it is one of the branch chain amino acid. They make up 22% of amino acids in a human body, so always remember that. In plants, isoleucine can be synthesized from threonine, methionine. It is essential, right? uh, it can be synthesized from different plant products and animal products, so our body cannot produce on its own. We have to consume something to receive it. It is encoded by codons AUU, AUC, and AUA. Alright, this is something that you will have to memorize. Either you can make a mnemonic or you just look at it and you memorize it. So it is AUU, AUC, and AUA. What is the clinical significance of isoleucine? Increases endurance and help heal muscle tissues, very important. Primary function of isoleucine in the body to boost up energy levels and to assist the body in recovering from strenuous physical activity. And this is exactly why a lot of you workout powders would have isoleucine in it. Participate in hemoglobin synthesis as well as regulation of blood sugar and energy levels. Aids in preventing muscle wasting. Promotes tissue repair after injury or surgery. Isoleucine is converted to blood sugar in the liver. It can help in maintaining normal blood glucose levels. Isoleucine is converted to blood sugar in the liver. It can help maintain normal blood glucose level. It also, the most important part here for isoleucine is energy, boost of the energy levels and assist the body in recovering from strenuous physical activity. Extremely important. Leucine, non-polar essential aliphatic branch alpha amino acid. Leucine is an essential amino acid that is used in biosynthesis of proteins. It is essential in humans, meaning the body cannot synthesize it. It must be obtained from the diet, right? So we have to consume something to receive it. Human dietary sources are foods that contain proteins such as meat, dairy products, soy products, beans, and other legumes. Leucine is named after Greek word for white, after its common appearance as white powder, a property it shares with many other amino acids. Most of the amino acids are white powder like. Like valine and isoleucine, leucine is a branch chain amino acid, very important. All the branch chain alpha amino acids are important, so remember each and every branch chain. Isoleucine, leucine, and valine are all branch chain. It is encoded by codons UUA, UUG, CUU, CUC, um, CUA, and CUG again. All right, so remember these, very important. C6H13NO2. That is going to be the molecular formula of leucine. It can be either written as LEU or just L. At times, you will be asked questions just by the one letter for amino acids, and you will have to know them by heart. You will have to know them. Clinical significance of leucine L regulates the blood sugar levels, promotes the growth, recovery of muscle and bone tissues. Like I said, all the branch amino acids have a very um, strong impact on muscle building, yeah, and muscle recovery. Prevents the breakdown of muscle proteins caused by injury or stress. Beneficial for people suffering from ketonuria, very important. So lack of it can cause phenylketonuria. Aids in burning fat without burning a muscle by sparing the muscle proteins and leaving them to assist in building and increasing the muscle gain and mass. All right. So leucine is very important. Methionine, very important. You will be asked because it has sulfur bond, S-methyl thioether side chain. Methionine is non-polar essential aliphatic alpha amino acid. Methionine is encoded by the codon AUG, which is a start codon. Is an alpha amino acid that is used in biosynthesis of proteins. It contains a deprotonated carboxyl group and a protonated NH3 amino group under biological pH conditions. It is located in alpha position with respect to the carboxyl group and S-methyl thioether side chain. Classifying it as a non-polar aliphatic amino acid, contains sulfur, which can donate part of its structure to the other molecules, thus altering them. It is therefore called a methyl donor. So methionine is very famously considered as a methyl donor because it has S sulfur methyl thioether side chain. So contains sulfur, very important. I believe it's cysteine, methionine are two sulfur containing proteinogenic amino groups, very important with regards to MCAT. In nuclear genes of eukaryotes and in archaea, methionine is coded for by the start codon, meaning it indicates the start of coding region and is the first amino acid produced in a nascent polypeptide during mRNA translation. So the start of the coding region is methionine and is the first amino acid produced in nascent polypeptide during mRNA translations. This is the first amino acid that is produced, right? So always remember this by number one, just M number one. This is the start codon. Clinical significance of methionine. The methyl molecule which is donated is essential for formation of nucleic acid, incredibly important. The genetic material of every cell of the body which determines the formation of all the different proteins which make up our body. Powerful detoxification agent, being capable of removal from the body of toxic level of heavy metals such as lead. So it is very powerful detoxification agent. Alcohol is one oxidant which can stimulate the release of dangerous superoxide radicals. Methionine protects against alcohol in this regard and in general. Methionine also aids in maintenance of the pool of glutathione peroxidase, the powerful enzyme antioxidant. So the methionine is also very important because it aids in the maintenance. So let's study tryptophan. So tryptophan is TRPW, C11H12 and 2O2, which is a polar molecule with non-polar aromatic beta carbon essential alpha amino acid. So these are aromatics. You will see some side chains with aromatic benzene rings, right? So you can see the rings here. So tryptophan is one of the aromatic alpha amino acid. Tryptophan contains alpha amino group, alpha carboxyl group, and a side chain indole, right? So you can see the side chain of indole, making it a polar molecule with a non-polar aromatic beta carbon substituent. So remember this, that it is a polar molecule with a side chain of indole but with a non-polar aromatic beta carbon substituent. Tryptophan is also a precursor to neurotransmitter serotonin, the hormone melatonin, vitamin B3 niacin, right? So serotonin very important, hormone melatonin very important, right? And vitamin B3 is also very important. It is encoded by UGG. Like other amino acid, tryptophan is deuterion. At physiological pH where the amino group is protonated and carboxylic acid is deprotonated. Building block of enzymes, structural proteins, serotonin, melatonin, and the neurotransmitter. Uh, Clinical significance is building block of enzymes, structural proteins, serotonin, melatonin, and the neurotransmitter, right? So we are talking about building blocks of enzymes. And enhances relaxation and sleep. Yes, we have serotonin, melatonin, soothing nerves and anxiety, reducing carb cravings. Okay, so you will see a lot many weight loss medication would have tryptophan in it. Vital for the production of process of serotonin, brain chemical involved in regulating mood. Right. So a lot many people that are by naturally very happy, somewhere I believe tryptophan is responsible for your happiness. Tryptophan enhances serotonin's antidepressant effect by increasing the amount of serotonin in your blood. All right. So if you let's say if you're a very depressed person, somewhere it shows that must be a biochemical reason that is causing you depression, mostly related to serotonin, right? So what tryptophan does, it increases the amount of serotonin in your blood. All right, so it has an antidepressant effect. Increasing tryptophan levels may help you normalize sleep patterns, right? So if you are having issues with regards to sleeping, you can consume tryptophan. It will help you sleep better. So it also helps with sleep apnea. Phenylalanine PHEF neutral. Phenylalanine is also aromatic. It is neutral, nonpolar hydrophobic, aromatic, essential alpha amino acid. The molecular formula is CnHlH11NO. So phenylalanine, you can use PHE or you can just use F. And you have to remember and memorize all the nomenclature, the naming, and also molecular formula. This essential amino acid is classified as neutral, non-polar because of the inert and hydrophobic nature of benzyl side chain. The L isomer is used to biochemically form proteins coded for by DNA. Phenylalanine is a precursor for tyrosine. The monoamine neurotransmitter dopamine, norepinephrine, noradrenaline, and epinephrine, adrenaline, and the biological pigment melanin. All right, so it is actually a precursor for tyrosine, the monoamine neurotransmitters for dopamine, right? So, phenylalanine is very important. It is encoded by messenger RNA codons, so mRNA codons UUU, it is encoded by these codons, right? RNA codons. Phenylalanine improves walking disabilities, rigidity, speech difficulties, and depression caused by Parkinson's. This is exactly why a lot many patients suffering with Parkinson's disease are actually given phenylalanine. It also helps in walking disability. So let's say someone's having issue with regards to walking, and they are, given prescription phenylalanine medication. Okay. What is the clinical significance? A phenylalanine is a precursor of tyrosine combined with which it leads to formation of adrenaline. Very important. Adrenaline is converted into brain chemical utilized to produce noradrenaline, responsible for promoting mental alertness, memory, and for the elevation of mood and for the suppression of appetite. So, very important. As you can see, there are some serious cognitive, support that phenylalanine provides. Since noradrenaline affects mood, various forms of phenylalanine have been suggested to treat such condition: lack of energy, memory problems, depression, confusion, decreased alertness, lack of appetite, all of which are caused by phenylalanine deficiency. So remember these. A phenylketonuria is a rare but serious inherited metabolic disorder. It occurs in individuals who lack the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, which is necessary for converting amino acid phenylalanine into tyrosine, right? So you have to remember the phenylketonuria. At times it is asked. I was not asked, but it may be asked, right? So if you will have to remember that. Okay. Proline, uh, C5H9NO2, non-polar aliphatic non-essential alpha amino acid. Proline symbol Pro P is an organic classed as proteinogenic amino acid used in the biosynthesis of proteins, although it does not contain the amino group NH2 but is rather a secondary amine. The secondary amine nitrogen is in the protonated form NH2 plus under biological condition, while the carboxyl group is in the deprotonated form. The side chain from the alpha carbon connects to the nitrogen, forming a pyrrolidine loop, classifying it as an aliphatic amino acid. Right. So the side chain from the alpha carbon connects to the nitrogen, forming a pyrrolidine loop, and it is classified as aliphatic amino acid. It is non-essential. Body can synthesize from the essential amino acid L-glutamate. It is encoded by all the codons starting with CC. So CCU, CCC, CCA, CCG. Proline is therefore they famously call proline is kinky, right? Because it has a protonated NH2 under biological condition and deprotonated COO. And it also has a side chain alpha carbon that connects to nitrogen, forming a loop. All right, and that's why they say that proline is kinky. All right, so you can remember that proline is kinky CC. Okay. Essential component of collagen. Proline is very important for collagen, and therefore it's vital for proper functioning of joints and tendons. Extremely important. Collagen. When you learn about musculoskeleton, you will learn about bones, you will learn about collagen, you'll realize how important it is. Helps maintain strength in heart muscles. Uh, Responsible for creation of collagen. Secondly, it helps diminish arteriosclerosis, hardening of arteries, right? Sclerosis. So lack of proline leads to multiple strains or tears in soft tissues of human body, can also be liable for slower than normal healing. Proline can help your artery be able to effectively stretch out and go back to its normal size and shape, right? So this is exactly why it helps with arteriosclerosis, right? So because it is effectively stretching it out and going back to its normal size and shape. Maintains appropriate pressure levels throughout the body as well as for the long distance transportation of blood around the circulatory system. So, it is not only maintaining the appropriate pressure levels, all right, throughout the body, but also helps with long distance transportation of blood around the circulatory system. So, proline is kinky, but it's very important. So, remember that, okay? Um, and the best part is, like I said, responsible creation of collagen, diminishing arteriosclerosis. All right, so the very high clinical significance, because as you can see that it also maintains appropriate pressure, extremely important. Long distance transformation of blood around the circulatory system. Okay, so you will have to remember valine. Valine is a branch chain of alpha amino acid, non-polar, aliphatic, and essential. Okay, valine, the nomenclature is just VAL, so you can remember VAL or V. Is an alpha amino acid that is used in biosynthesis of proteins. It contains an alpha amino group which is in the protonated NH3 form under biological condition, alpha carboxylic group which is in the deprotonated form under biological condition, and a side chain of isopropyl. Okay, so valine has a side chain of an isopropyl group, making it as a non-polar aliphatic amino acid. So how polar and non-polar any amino acid is usually uh, depicted by the side chain, and here isopropyl group makes it non-polar and aliphatic amino acid. Valine is essential in humans, meaning the body cannot synthesize it, must be obtained from dietary food containing proteins, meats, dairy products, soy products, beans, and legumes. It is encoded by all codons starting with the GU. All right, so if you see anything that starts with GU, chances are they are talking about valine. Okay, so as you can see, it has a carboxyl group. It also has a it also has an amino group. It also has a side chain of isopropyl group. So remember, valine that has a side chain of isopropyl group. Clinical significance of valine V supports preventing the breakdown of muscle because it supplies the muscles with an extra glucose responsible for the energy production during physical activity. So, this is a very important part. Extra glucose responsible for energy production. Valine is also a precursor in penicillin biosynthetic pathway and is known for inhibiting the transport of tryptophan across the blood-brain barrier. Okay, so tryptophan, like we studied, is also one of the branch chain amino acids. Um, Important for everyday, tryptophan is an aromatic amino acid, alpha amino acid. Sorry, important for everyday body functions and for maintaining muscles as well as for regulation of the immune system. The amino acid is not processed by the liver, but is taken up by muscles. You can obtain it through kidney beans, leafy vegetables, poultry, and milk. All right. So the biggest significance here is the extra glucose responsible for energy production. So remember, valine as it supplies muscle with an extra glucose responsible for producing energy. So cysteine, like it has sulfur, so methionine and cysteine has sulfur. Certain questions will be asked, so remember that. Note that cysteine has a thiol side chain that often participate in enzymatic reactions as a nucleophile. So thiol side chain, cysteine is a sulfur containing non-essential. Remember that amino acid that is a key constituent of glutathione. Glutathione made from cysteine, glutamic acid, and glycine can be found in all tissues of human body. So remember that it has sulfur containing. It is sulfur containing. It has a side chain of thiol. Cysteine is important source of sulfide in human metabolism, right? So it is a very important source of sulfide in human metabolism. Sulfide in iron sulfur clusters and in nitrogenous is extracted from citrine, which is converted to alanine in the process. So it gets converted to alanine in the process. In the translation of messenger RNA molecules to produce polypeptides, cysteine is coded for by UGU, UGC codons. Alright, so cysteine, remember it's non-essential, it is polar, it is hydrophilic, alpha amino acid, right? It has a side chain of thiol, right? It is sulfur containing, very important, for nitrogenous extraction from cysteine, right? So that is important, which is in the end converted into alanine, right? And in the translation messenger RNA molecules to produce polypeptide, cysteine is coded for UGU and UGC codons, right? So remember that. Clinical significance of cysteine provides resistance to the body against all the harmful effects because it is responsible for building up white blood cell activity. So this is very important. All right, cysteine is also responsible, uh, also necessary for proper functioning of skin, helps your body recover from surgery. So that is very important, right? It helps your body recover from surgery. Required for detoxification and for the formation of skin, right? So detoxification and formation of skins. Besides, it participates in the recovery of hair and nail tissue. All right, so it participates in recovery of the hair and nail tissue. Cysteine also encourages the activity of white blood cells. So it encourages the activity of white blood cells, WBC. So for cysteine, remember WBC. All right, remember thiol side chains. Remember it contains sulfur, very important. Very effective in treating bronchitis, angina, acute respiratory distress. Ability to help maintain optimal health and improve immune system functioning, right? Because we said that it encourages the activity of WBC, and immune system is also related to it, right? So one thing will lead to another, right? So remember cysteine is cis with C. Remember that it has sulfur thiol side chain. It's important for WBC, maintaining immune system functioning. It also detoxified the formation of new skin, right? Also helps with hair and nail tissue recovery. Very effective in bronchitis, angina, all right, bronchitis and infection, angina and acute respiratory distress. All right, so let's talk about serine. All right, serine is SERSC3H7NO3, non-essential polar hydrophilic alpha amino acid. Serine is alpha amino acid that is used in biosynthesis of protein, so it is proteinogenic. Serine plays an important role in various biosynthetic pathways. Yeah, so it has alpha amino in a protonated form, alpha carboxyl group in deprotonated form, has a side chain consisting of hydroxy methyl group. So remember that it has a side chain of hydroxy methyl group, classifying as polar amino acid. So it has a side chain of hydroxy methyl group, and hence it can be classified as polar amino acid. It can be synthesized in the human body under normal physiological circumstances, making it non-essential, encoded by UCU, UCC, UCA, UCG, AGU, and AGC. And you have to remember all this. C3H7NO3, hydroxymethyl group. Clinical significance of serine. Helps from form the phospholipids which are necessary for creating every cell in the human body, right? So phospholipids bilayer, when you study cell biology, we will study some phospholipid bilayer. It is involved in functioning of RNA and DNA in the muscle formation, as well as in the maintenance of proper immune system, right? So proper immune system, we also talked about cysteine, which helps with WBC and maintenance of immune system. Serine also help with maintenance of proper immune system, involved in functioning of RNA, DNA, muscle formation, assist in production of immunoglobulins, right? and that's why an immune system, and antibodies for a healthy immune system, as well as for helping in the absorption of creatine that helps build and maintain the muscles. Helps an enzyme catalase helps enzyme catalyze its reaction, the hydrolysis of peptide bonds in polypeptides and proteins, which is basically a major function in the digestive process, right? So peptide bonds in polypeptides and proteins, right? So it plays a major function in digestive process. So it has a very important function with regards to immune system. It has a very important function with regards to digestion. So remember that also has involved in functioning of RNA, DNA, muscle formation, right? Also creatine, very important, absorption of creatine, right? That is also very important. Phospholipids, very important, right? We will study about cellular membranes and we'll talk about phospholipid bilayers, right? So serine is important for that. So threonine, THR, or just T, whenever you see threonine, remember tiger, right? C4H9NO3, polar uncharged essential alpha amino acid, used in the biosynthesis of proteins. It contains alpha amino in protonated form and carboxyl, alpha carboxyl in deprotonated form, and a side chain contain hydroxyl group, making it a polar uncharged amino acid. It is essential in humans, meaning the body cannot synthesize, must be obtained from the diet. Threonine is synthesized from aspartate in bacteria. Aspartate is aspartic acid, right? So it is synthesized from a negatively charged as amino acid in bacteria such as E. coli. Escherichia coli is E. coli. It is encoded by all the codons starting AC, ACU, ACC, ACA, ACG. So anything that starts with AC, remember is 309. All right. What is the clinical significance of 309 THRT? Supports central nervous system. All right. Very important cardiovascular system. Liver, immune system functioning, helps in synthesis of glycine, serine, which in turn assists in production of collagen, elastin, and muscle tissue. 309 aids building strong bones, tooth enamel, speeds up a wound healing process after trauma or surgery by boosting up the immune system. 309 aids in building strong bones and tooth enamel and speeds up a wound healing process after trauma or surgery by boosting up the immune system. Useful in treating Lou Gehrig's disease, aka amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. All right, so it is useful in treating the disease. Um, it aids in digestive and intestinal tracts to function more smoothly, as well as for helping in metabolism assimilation. All right, so it has several important functions: central nervous system, cardiovascular, liver, immune system, production of collagen, elastin, muscle tissue, building strong bones and tooth enamel, and also healing process after trauma or surgery. All right, it's useful in treating Lou Gehrig's disease and also aids in digestion and intestinal tract to function more smoothly. So 309 has an impact on our body and it is very important, right? Especially, when it also helps with the synthesis of glycine and serine. Tyrosine. Tyrosine is TYRYC9H11NO3. Tyrosine is polar uncharged non-essential alpha amino acid. L-tyrosine or 4-hydroxyphenylalanine is one of the 20 standard amino acids that are used by cells to synthesize proteins. It is non-essential amino acid with a polar side group. Tyrosine is known worldwide for supporting and assisting neurotransmitters, very important, particularly important for people experiencing stress, aged, or tired, because in these people the availability of tyrosine is depleted, right? So because tyrosine depletes through aging, so it is extremely important, let's say if someone's suffering from stress, they're aging or tired all the times, and tyrosine plays a very important role in helping them. This amino acid, if obtained in full, helps reduce stress, improves mental alertness and mood, even acts as an appetite suppressant. All right, so We've studied about appetite suppressant before, and this is one of the appetite suppressants as well, right? So anything that builds your mood, will help with carbohydrate cravings as well. All right. So somewhere I feel that this neurotransmitter particularly helps with appetite suppressant. Clinical significance of tyrosine, TYRY. Tyrosine represents a starting material for neurotransmitters, increases plasma neurotransmitter levels, especially dopamine and noradrenaline, as well as participates in the synthesis of enkephalines, providing pain relieving effects in the body. So, this tyrosine can also be considered as a very important pain reliever. All right, starting material for neurotransmission. Tyrosine is a starting, that is important point. Responsible transmitting nerve impulses, depression, right? All right. So if someone's suffering from depression, tyrosine can help them. Important form on the production of several important hormones like thyroxine, which plays a key role in regulating metabolism, mental health, skin health, and human growth rate. All right. So tyrosine is also very important, plays a very important role with regards to hormones, thyroxine, in regulating metabolism, mental health, skin health, and human growth. Asparagine, right? We talked about asparagus. All right, asparagine, C4H8N2O3. All right. So asparagine is an alpha amino acid used in biosynthesis of proteins. Alpha amino group in protonated form, alpha carboxyl in deprotonated form, and a side chain of carboxamide, classifying it as polar. All right. So remember it has a side chain of carboxamide. All right, non-essential, it means the body can synthesize on its own and you don't have to eat anything, to have it synthesized. It is encoded by the codons AAU, AAC. Clinical significance of asparagine, ASN, or just N. Human nervous system also needs this amino acid to be able to maintain an equilibrium. Asparagine increases resistance to fatigue, improves the smooth functioning of the liver, helps in metabolizing ammonia in the human body and enable proper functioning of the liver, as well as it enables a robust system resistant to fatigue required by human body cells for the protein production. So it is required by human body cells, metabolizing ammonia, resistance to fatigue. It also helps in maintaining equilibrium. Glutamine, GLN-Q, C5H10N2O3, polar neutral charge, non-essential alpha amino acid. Glutamine is an alpha amino acid that is used in biosynthesis of proteins. Glutamine, also known as L-glutamine, seems to be the most active amino acid involved in lots of metabolic processes. Its side chain is like that of glutamic acid, except the carboxylic acid group is replaced by an amide. It is classified as a charged neutral polar amino acid. It is non-essential and conditionally essential in humans, meaning the body can usually synthesize enough of it. It is encoded by the codons CAA and CAG. Alright. So its side chain is like that of glutamic acid, except the carboxylic acid group, replaced by amide, classified as charged neutral polar amino acid. It is conditional essential humans, meaning the body can usually synthesize enough of it. It is encoded by CAA, CAG because it is considered, it is non-essential and conditionally essential in humans, right? But most of the times it is non-essential. So you cannot call it semi-essential. You can only call it non-essential. Okay. It is encoded by codon CAA, CAG. Glutamine is converted to glucose if your body needs more glucose as an energy source. Participates in maintaining of a normal blood glucose level and proper pH range. Very important because it manages pH range. Okay. Glutamine was recognized as the most abundant free amino acid found in the human muscles and in plasma. So also remember, right? A human body utilizes this amino acid at high rates for rapidly dividing cells like leukocytes to supply them with energy to create the best condition for nucleotide biosynthesis. Glutamine is vital for proper immune function, plays an important role in muscle recovery and reducing soreness after workouts, making it particularly beneficial for athletes. So it's very important for athletes. It converts glucose in your body, where if the body needs more glucose as an energy source. So always remember glutamine to glucose, right? A human body utilizes amino acid at high rates for rapidly dividing cells to supply them with energy to create the best conditions for nucleotide biosynthesis. Glutamine is vital for the proper functioning of your immune system. Okay, so remember that muscle recovery and reducing soreness after workout. So glutamine has an importance. Okay, so what is histidine? Histidine is his and H. All right, polar basic negatively charged alpha amino acid an essential. All right, so histidine is an essential amino acid, alpha amino acid that is used in biosynthesis of proteins. It has amino group as protonated, carboxyl group as deprotonated, um, and an imidazole side chain. So it has an imidazole side chain, right? So remember this side chain, and it will connect you to histidine. Okay, so that is very important, which is partially protonated, classifying it as a positively charged amino acid at a physiological pH. All right, so this is a positively charged amino acid. Initially thought essential only for infants, it has now been shown in long term studies to be essential in adults also. So initially it was thought that it was essential in infant, but it is now essential in adults as well, which means that you have to eat, a diet or a product from outside. Our body cannot synthesize on its own. It is encoded by the codons CAU and CAC. Clinical significance of histidine, H, regulates and utilizes essential trace elements like iron, copper, molybdenum, zinc, and manganese, forms numerous metal bearing enzymes and compounds such as antioxidant, superoxide dismutase. Metallothionein needs histidine to be formed, so people without a histidine diet whose body is contaminated with heavy metals are subject to the body's depletion of adequate stores of amino acid, thus causing mineral enzyme deficiencies and dysregulation. Alright, so remember this mineral enzyme deficiencies and dysregulation, and also remember that this is very important. Manganese, very important. These are essential trace elements like iron, copper, molybdenum, zinc, and manganese. Metal bearing enzymes and compounds such as antioxidant, superoxide dismutase, lysine, LYSK, C6H14N2O2 polar basic, uh, alpha amino acid essential. These are positively charged. Lysine is positively charged. Lysine, the symbol is K, is an alpha amino acid that is a precursor to many proteins. It is alpha amino group is present in protonated, carboxyl group is present in deprotonated form, and a side chain of lysyl CH24NH2, classifying it as basic charge at physiological aliphatic amino acid. So this is aliphatic amino acid. Polar basic aliphatic alpha amino acid, which is essential and positively charged. Lysine is recognized as an amino acid that's necessary building block for proteins in your body. Major role in calcium absorption. So calcium absorption very important. It is encoded by the codons AAA and AAG. All right. What is the clinical significance of lysine? It plays a major role in calcium absorption, aids in recovering from surgery or traumas, depresses the central nervous system while having anti seizure properties. Very important. A lack of lysine in the body can cause such symptoms as slow growth, fatigue, nausea, dizziness, and reproductive disorders. All right. So remember calcium absorption, remember recovery from surgery of traumas, remember it has anti-seizure properties. Also remember that lack of lysine can cause slow growth, fatigue, nausea, dizziness, and even reproductive disorders. Remember that. All right, so let's talk about arginine, ARGR, C6H14N4O2, polar basic aliphatic essential positively charged alpha amino acid. This molecule features guanidino group appended to a standard amino acid. So remember that arginine has a guanidino group. All right, so it has a guanidino group appended to a standard amino acid. So as you can see, this is particularly large. Arginine is really large. At physiological pH, carboxylic acid deprotonated, uh, and both amino and guanidino groups are protonated, resulting in a cation. Right? Whenever you see cation, remember cats have paws, so they are positive. Right? So remember cats. All cats have paws, so their cation is positive, anion is negative. Only the L-arginine symbol ARGR and enantiomer is found naturally. Alright, so synthetic can be cultured in the lab, but natural, we only find L-arginine naturally. ARG residues are common components of proteins encoded by CGU, CGC, CGA, CGG, AG, and AGG. Guanidino group in arginine is precursor for the biosynthesis of nitric oxide. Very important. So it has an appended guanidino group to a standard amino group. All right, so remember that. And remember the importance of biosynthesis of nitric oxide. Plays an important role in cell division, very important, and in the immune functioning. Healing wounds, release hormones, remove ammonia, very important. Causes a blood vessel relaxation because it is a precursor to nitric oxide. Arginine is an intermediate in the urea cycle, cleaved into ornithine and urea. All right, so we are not studying ornithine for this class. All right, so it is cleaved into ornithine and urea. Aspartic acid. So what is aspartic acid? Aspartic acid ASPD C4H7NO4, non-essential polar acidic alpha amino acid. Aspartic is acidic and hence it's negative. Aspartic acid contains an amino group and a carboxylic acid group. It its alpha amino group is in the protonated NH3 form under physiological condition, while its alpha carboxyl group is deprotonated under physiological condition. Aspartic acid has an acidic side chain CH2COH which reacts with other amino acids, enzymes and proteins in the body. Under physiological condition pH 7.4 in proteins, the side chain usually occurs negatively charged aspartate form COO. It is non-essential amino acid. The body can synthesize it as it's needed and coded by codons GAU and GAC. All right. So remember, aspartic acid has an acidic side chain CH2COOH. All right. So if you remember that, I think it will help you, understanding the structure of aspartic acid. What is the clinical significance of aspartic acid? Aspartic acid also participates in ornithine cycle in transamination reaction as well as in the formation of pyrimidines, purines, carnosine, and serine, necessary for stamina, brain, neural health, and helps body promote a robust metabolism and stamina, brain and neural health. Plays a key role in citric acid cycle known as Krebs cycle, within which other amino acid biochemicals are formed, responsible for keeping your mind in the state by increasing concentrations of NADH in the brain. Always remember, very important. Very important. Believed to boost up the production of chemicals necessary for proper mental functioning. Alright, so responsible keeping your mind in that state by increasing concentration of NADH. Also remember that it plays a very important role in Krebs cycle. Alright, so glutamic acid is again negatively charged non-essential alpha amino acid C5H9NO4 GLU or E. It is in anionic form Anions are negatively charged, right? Known as glutamate. You can call it glutamate or glutamate. Don't try to mix it with glutamine, all right? Don't try to. A lot many students do, but you don't do it. Most dominant excitatory neurotransmitter in the vertebrate nervous system, very important, remember. Neurotransmitter in the vertebrate nervous system serves as precursor for synthesis of inhibitory gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA, in GABAergic neurons. Can lose one proton form in its second carboxyl to form the conjugate base, prevalent in neutral solutions, all right? It is encoded by GAA or GAG. Alright, so remember excitatory neurotransmitter vertebrate nervous system, it's most abundant. Remember that it is a precursor for the synthesis of GABA um, in GABAergic neurons. Can lose one proton from its second carboxyl group to form a conjugate base. Very important. Prevalent in neutral solution, alright, GAA or GAG. What is the clinical significance of glutamic acid? Right, so we already studied firing of neurons in human nervous system is very important. So excitatory neurotransmission is important for increasing firing of neurons. Necessary for proper cell functioning. Very important. Can pass through the blood-brain barrier. This amino acid appears to be support brain function and it's human brain's primary food. All right. So it can pass a blood-brain barrier. All right. This amino acid appears to support the brain function and is human brain's primary food. Why? Because it can pass through blood-brain barrier very easily. After reaching blood, it utilizes all excess ammonia, which is toxic waste product of metabolism, by transforming it into amino acid called glutamine, right? So it transforms itself into glutamine, right? All right, so it reduces toxic waste product of metabolism, that is ammonia, and transfers into glutamine as an alpha amino acid, which in general helps, right, the brain functioning. Has some essential antioxidant properties and is considered as chemical messenger. It has been shown to help improve intelligence, enhance clarity of thinking, mental alertness, and mood, and is used to help treat Parkinson's, fatigue, mental retardation, schizophrenia, muscular dystrophy, and alcoholism. All right, so it has some serious importance, right? So, Parkinson's, fatigue, mental retardation, schizophrenia, muscular dystrophy, and alcoholism. Believed to help shuttle potassium across the blood brain barrier and right to the spinal fluid. Very important, right? Glutamic acid is acting as an intermediary in the Krebs cycle and is important for carbohydrate metabolism and also known for the ability to detoxify muscle cells. That is also very important, right? So remember, blood brain barrier, primary food. Remember, helps with excess ammonia, all right, and converts it into glutamine. Remember that it is a very important chemical messenger. Parkinson's, fatigue, mental retardation, schizophrenia, muscular dystrophy. It also helps shuttle potassium across the blood-brain barrier and right into spinal fluid. Remember that it acts as an intermediary in Krebs cycle. All right, so let us. So GABAs are non-proteogenic, right? So let's understand what GABA is because you will be asked question on GABA, which is non-essential. N-acetyl gamma aminobutyric acid, all right, also known as N-acetyl 4 aminobutyric acid, is a metabolic intermediate in the biosynthesis of gamma aminobutyric acid from butyricine. All right, so this it is a very important intermediate in the biosynthesis process. Enzymes mediating the transformation in this pathway include putrescine acetyltransferase (PAT), monoamine oxidase B, aldehyde dehydrogenase (ALDH), and an unknown deacetylase enzyme. All right. So there are particular enzymes that play a very important role in mediation in the transformations in the pathway. The pathway is a minor pathway in GABA synthesis compared to the main pathway in which GABA is synthesized from glutamate. However, the pathway has been found to have an important physiological role in brain. For instance, production of GABA in the striatum and result in inhibition of dopaminergic neurons in this brain area. All right, so it has a very important function with regards to inhibition of dopaminergic neurons. GABA is non-essential amino acid synthesized from glutamic acid. Within central nervous system, GABA emerges as a crucial regulator of nerve cell activity, playing a pivotal role in maintaining the delicate balance of neurotransmission. So remember that it helps with maintaining the balance of neurotransmission. Central nervous system revolves around role as a neurotransmitter. Acting as inhibitory neurotransmitter, GABA modulates the nerve cell activity by reducing excitability of neurons. All right, so it reduces the excitability of neurons. So uh, anywhere where you personally find that the patient has an excessive neuron activity, you can use GABA as a very important inhibitory non-proteogenic amino acid. All right. This regulatory function is essential preventing excessive neural activity, like I said, overall stable and proper function of the nervous system. Employed in managing epilepsy, hypertension mechanism involves GABA-inducing state of calmness, tranquility by inhibiting neurotransmitters that decrease the activity of neurons activated by manic behavior and acute agitation. You know, some people have manic behaviors. They start over talking, they start shouting, etc. So GABA is very important for it. It helps you calm and relax basically. L34 dihydroxyphenylalanine, L-DOPA. What is L-DOPA? L-DOPA, also known as L34 dihydroxyphenylalanine, and used medically as levodopa, is made and used as a part of normal biology of some plants and animals, including humans. Humans, as well as a portion of other animals that utilize L-DOPA, make it via biosynthesis from amino acid L-tyrosine. L-DOPA is a precursor to neurotransmitter dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine, which are collectively known as catecholamines, right? So remember that norepinephrine, epinephrine collectively are dopamine, norepinephrine, adrenaline are collectively known as catecholamines. L-DOPA itself mediates neurotrophic factor release by the brain and CNS. So it mediates neurotrophic factor, which is released by brain and CNS. L-DOPA is used medically under the name levodopa in the treatment of Parkinson's, right? It is usually used in combination with peripherally selective aromatic L amino acid decarboxylase AAD inhibitors such as carbidopa or benseracide. These agents increase the strength and duration of levodopa. Combination formulation include levodopa, carbidopa, and levodopa benseracide as well as levodopa, carbidopa, and entacapone. Alright, so it's very important. Alright. So I hope this class helps you. Thank you for watching. Next will be primary and secondary and tertiary structure, quaternary structure of proteins. Please come back and check out that video. I'll be posting it pretty soon. All right. So thank you. Like, subscribe, and comment. Bye.